Proposition had to show us that under their paradigm of random proportional selection, fair representation is acquired. They have not done that, therefore by default they have lost the debate. And I'll show you why. There were three fundamental issues in this debate, and I'll flag them as I go through each one. So the first issue, ladies and gentlemen, was this idea of democracy versus demography, and what is the best representation under those two ideas. What they said essentially was that demography does equal to representation because of the fact that the status quo is inefficient, which, as you can hear, is an illogical argument. But essentially under that they feel that political parties don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. They feel that the people in the country feel that political parties don't offer true representation, which was an assertion on their part, and we call them out on that. And secondly, ladies and gentlemen, what they based this argument on was the necessary mutual inclusion of demography and political plight of that specific demography. And essentially what they also did was they painted a picture of a retarded people who can't vote properly because they appeal to the loyalty vote or whatever the case is. What side opposition said in response to all of these arguments that side opposition brought up is that when you vote for a political standing, ladies and gentlemen. This is not at all related to demography. If someone advocates for women's rights or human rights, it's not because of their sex, it's because it's a worthy cause to support. For example, you do not have to be gay to support gay rights. Why? Because gay rights is a worthy cause. And if I'm not gay and I support gay rights because I feel that it's worth supporting, ladies and gentlemen. And secondly, ladies and gentlemen, the act of random selection actively takes away from the act of voting, because when people are randomly selected, they aren't voted for. If they aren't voted for, it's not democratic, and therefore by extension it's not a true reflection of what people want, because under Proposition's paradigm, they won't be able to actively express what they want. Why? Because people will be selected, ladies and gentlemen. And the key here in this argument is active expression of what people want. If they vote, they are actively expressing what they want. If people are randomly selected, they are not actively expressing what they want. And that's a problem, ladies and gentlemen. No response from side of Proposition. Thirdly, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to discuss the different individuals. What we said is that different individuals have different ideals, and this doesn't necessarily translate into democracy specifically. And we call them out to ask what in the world is the link between demography and a person's ideals, ladies and gentlemen. And why we have won this specific issue is because side proposition needed to show a link between political standing and how it's translated into via belonging to a demographic. They haven't proven that, ladies and gentlemen. That's why they lose. In terms of the second issue, ladies and gentlemen, which is rather unimportant, was the function of the parliament under the status quo versus the function of the parliament under the side proposition's paradigm. And what they said is that the parliament is infallible because you alienate politicians and the skills they have aren't like fantastic and everything, and people need to talk. Essentially, ladies and gentlemen, side proposition's new parliament is even more fallible than the parliament that side opposition proposed, ladies and gentlemen. Because of the fact that you have people who don't have as refined skills in politics involved in policy making in Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. And that's something that side proposition needed to engage with, and they didn't do that, ladies and gentlemen. Thirdly, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of the issue of the fundamental principle of the selection itself, again, something that they did not contest on our part, ladies and gentlemen, what we said is that you can't force people to choose their career because of this entire idea of autonomy. And secondly, because you're harming society by virtue of the fact that you're putting people who don't know what they're doing into a position where they are able to harm people as a result of their not knowing what they're doing, ladies and gentlemen, uncontested by side proposition. And for that reason, ladies and gentlemen, because of the fact that we've been able to prove sufficiently that democracy doesn't equal democracy trumps demography in every single case, and because we've been able to prove that under our paradigm, true representation is acquired, we have won this debate.